Thank you, Suchit. To discuss the history of DirAP, we really have to go back way into the early mid-90s. And if you recall, Suchit, at that time it was the internet just coming into Asia. The beginning of the internet, there was a time of great excitement. And every other day I was getting messages and inquiries from many people, whether other donors from the commercial sector or from private individuals, and they were asking things like, what is the state of readiness of the internet in such and such a country? Who are the key people? Who can I meet when I go into the country, etc. And one day I was thinking, what if we had a ready reference source book for everybody that comes out regularly on a short interim basis because of changing ICTs. And if that book could be given out to people, then I don't have to be deluged with the thousands of email that I was getting in those days.
Well, there are many sort of burning issues and, if you like, needs across the region, and some of these apply to the gap that one has in terms of whether it is rural, urban, or gender, or the so-called digital divide. There's also an attempt to learn about the various innovations that are taking place in the region, as well as the applications of these technologies for purposes of development. One can, by collecting this information and sharing it across the region, and for that matter beyond the region, assist people in trying to see how they themselves might be able to use these technologies if they have not thought of the possibilities of some of the applications that are there.
Good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be able to welcome you to Singapore for DirAP's Authors Meeting. Singapore was the International Development Research Center's first ever regional office. We've known to have 5 more in other parts of the world. We opened our first regional office doors in December of 1971. Singapore used to be a recipient of IDRC social investment to assist in introducing evidence and research into public policy. I think Singapore is a very interesting example of how that can be very successful. A lot has changed since 1971 in Singapore, and most of Southeast and East Asia have gone through incredible phases of economic growth. Some of you will have seen the construction going on as you came across the causeway at Sentosa. You may not know that that is the construction of an integrated Disney tourist resort that's going on here on this tropical island of Sentosa. There's a lot of construction going on in Singapore. Some have said that 15% of all of the world's cranes and derricks are currently in operation in Dubai. That may be true, but the rest of them must be in Singapore. And as you all know, advances in telecommunications access and related policy are both a cause and an outcome of this growth. Becoming more open to telecommunications development and investment, increasing access helps to spur economic growth and also is an outcome of the growth. And as you also well know, the policy environments which we have chronicled for the last 6 years, going into the 8th years, are fundamental to this growth. But as economies grow, new inequalities arise. Interesting to see that in George Stianis' chapter in the DirAP Digital Review on A Tale of Two Ages. As economies grow, new inequalities arise. It's interesting to remember, at least for me it's interesting to remember, that the first invention of the digital divide did not occur in slow-growing economies. first use that I heard of the word digital divide, that digital metaphor, was by Bill Clinton in Oakland, California in 1999, right in the middle of the dot-com boom. IDRC is very happy to be the host of DirAP's work. What you do is at the core of our mission and mandate, informing policy through evidence for both policymakers and the public, to observe and from which to learn.
We came up with different about 9 issues, but we were able to summarize them into 3 main themes. First of all, we thought about e-democracy in terms of political awareness and judgment, independency, and so on.
Okay, our next table.
So our
Maybe move back to so everyone can see.
Well, we came up with 10 issues and we voted 7. And the top 3, it seems to be anonymous, synonymous for everyone. Number 1 issue is about the content. We rather like to see the globalized content in
the development sector, and then private sector funding and mobilization. How we can get the private sector involved to do some of these pilot projects.
Excellent. Thank you very much to everyone. Our unenviable task will be for myself with Partha Sather and for Rajesh and his colleagues to try and get that into 5,000 words, just an introduction, yes, for people who are going to be starting the book before they go into the detail that's in your individual chapters. On that note, before I hand back to Shahid, if I can just ask you to give yourselves all a round of applause, please, because it's been really great work.